frame. Myself and Alicia in particular are trained organizers. We are trained Marxists. We are super versed on sort of ideological theories.
So I woke up to an email from YouTube letting me know that my channel was no longer eligible to be monetized. And I guess I was just so irritated because the thing is, I just got started with this channel, and it's like, I didn't expect to make anything, but when you see how they have the power and they don't give you any, it's not really about policy or anything like that, because they don't give you anything specific that you need to change. It basically just comes down to your politics. And we're living in a world, I guess that's what irritates me the most right now. We're living in a world that is being monopolized by these Marxist ideas. And the majority of people that are following along and playing pretend and even censoring themselves in some cases, they don't even realize this. They think they're doing the right thing. They think it seems like the right way, you know. So, I guess I just wanted to put that out there. First of all, that this communism, this socialism, Marxism, whatever you want to call it, that has encompassed the mainstream and you know, to the point where they won't allow any other thought processes. They will literally shame you. They will call it all sorts of things. Racism, they'll call it, you know, white silence. If you don't say anything, they'll shame you too. So basically, it's either you agree with us or you have your books burned. You censor yourself. We censor you. You're silenced if you don't agree with us. It's not a free society that they're advocating for. This is abundantly clear. They are not advocating for a free society. So I figured some pictures from the farm this weekend would be better to look at than the demonetization of my channel. This black and white Holstein cow right here, this is where we get our milk. And this is our first chicken. His name is Cookie. And my son got him over the weekend. We're going to start collecting chickens, I guess. So, by the way, in light of this demonetization thing, I thought it would be a good time to bring up Patreon and PayPal. And I'm on both. I'll link them in the description or whatever. But basically, Patreon, I think you just look up the same name, you know, of the YouTube creator. And you can find them like that. And PayPal, most people understand how that works. You can use email to, you know, give tips or whatever. And I'm not even necessarily expecting anything. I guess the way to talk about this is you have to expect, if someone's working completely for free, and that's what I expected from the beginning anyway, so it's not that huge of a deal for me. But you have to expect that they're going to be making less content, especially if they're busy and they're a mother like me, you know what I mean? And it also comes at a price. You know, you're going to be looked at a certain way by your community, by the people that watch this stuff, especially when it's controversial topics like I talk about. So when they do something like this, what they're doing is discouraging the creator from continuing to make videos. Like, I'm not going to try to carve out time a few times a week, knowing that it's coming at such a cost to me. I guess what irritates me the most in all of this is I watch certain channels like the Unnatural Vegan, who, you know, these people, they censor themselves. You know that, right? You know that this whole platform is going to become completely fake, phony. You know, nobody's going to give their real perspectives anymore. And 10 minutes into one of her videos, there's at least 4 or 5 ads. And I'm thinking to myself, I would never do this to people. I would never. I put one at the beginning and at the end that you can skip. And I would leave it like that. Doesn't matter if it's a 10-minute video, 30-minute, I have never put one in the middle of a video. But now, I don't even get that option. And you know what? I won't even reapply because I don't want to depend on the, I don't want to be at their mercy to decide whether I can or can't have ads. Like, you know what? Screw that. If eventually I get a few patrons, I'd be happy with that. So I would suggest if there are channels that you really value, their honesty, whether you agree with them all the time or not, I would suggest you support them in some way or another. Anyway, moving on, you're probably wondering what this is we're looking at. This beautiful, beautiful young lady here. This was painted by Akiana. She was the child prodigy. She did this at 10 years old. She was the one who did that painting of Jesus, the famous painting of Jesus that everyone used a few years back. Now, she deserves her own video. And by she, I do mean Eve here. I was looking at this painting this morning because it's on my living room wall as I was reading that email, and I was thinking how ironic it is how these opinions can just reign supreme. And mostly it's about the racism, it's about talking about things in a different perspective than the normie sort of perspective that they want everyone to have, that black people are hated and then they just have no chance in life. And so if they're growing up in America, they're supposed to think that this racism thing is such a ginormous issue, that it's so pervasive. Well, because we have a history of slavery here, right? Even though, every type of human had slavery. But this is the immediate, type that we had in America. So they want this to be in the forefront of our minds. Even though society, humans are going through this like massive consciousness shifting, I guess, if you will, to better explain. We are rising above and beyond this sort of very immature style of thinking. And so, there's always going to be some resistance when these things change like this. Because the thing is, to hang on to these normie sort of beliefs that the mainstream wants you to hang on to, you have to be sort of a simpleton. I hate to even have to say that, but it's true. And even to be a racist, you have to be a simpleton. Because we are so beyond this, right? We are consciously excelling way beyond this sort of frame of mind. Like to think that skin deep is what matters here. This is Eve. This is Eve. She has the earth in her eyes. She has every ethnic background you can possibly imagine. That's what was painted into her face. You can see the Indian, the African, the European, the Asian. You can see it all. And, well, that was what, was supposed to be depicted here. She's like the mother of humanity. She's supposed to have every race within her. And, I mean, what else is there to say? Skin, it's just one part of us. The color of our skin. If you don't understand that, and you think that means anything beyond, a descriptive characteristic of yourself, then you're a simpleton. And so I don't know, I feel like the mainstream wants us to hang on to that. They want people to still be hung up, all while still playing pretend like only a few of us are looking at the content of our character, our hearts, our minds, and allowing room for this uniqueness. There's no room for individuality with this Marxist mentality. And we should be looking at each other as individuals. We are all unique. We are all so different. Even though we come from this one woman, apparently, this beautiful woman, Eve. So, yeah, they don't want us doing this. They don't want us, looking at our individuality. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a big deal when you see someone who is racist or bigoted or, thinks so differently than you. It wouldn't be a big deal because that's just one person. Maybe that's a few people. Even if it were the majority of people, oh well, you're above that, right? That's what matters. There are people that are above this. And if their motives were genuine, I mean, literally, if they were genuine in what they were saying they were trying to do, and by they, I mean, the mainstream media, the Black Lives Matter groups, why aren't they logically and rationally looking at the statistics of what is killing these people and talking about those things if they really care so much? If they really care so much, vitamin D is a much huger issue than police brutality, let me tell you. And that's not controversial to say. I mean, we can look at the statistics. We can look at how many people are being killed by the police. Lots of white people are being killed too. But in comparison to a lack of vitamin D, it pales in comparison. And all the other topics I'm not even going to get into because people just start getting pissed off. And we know about the, broken homes. We know about this and that and black on black crime. And okay, what about Planned Parenthood? What about vaccines? My point is they don't really care about what they are saying they care about. Or they're just not mentally capable of understanding what they need to be worried about, I guess, is the best way I can put this. People are duped. They're tricked into these ideologies, just like veganism. Anyway, that's really all I wanted to say. This is Eve here with the earth in her eyes, and even she was duped. The devil, the whole... Would he really be a trickster if he didn't know how to trick people? This is what I never understood about Christianity. These people go to church every Sunday and talk about the devil, yet they can't even imagine that they could all be duped. Or I should say they just assume it will be so obvious. Come, dressed in a black long coat and combat boots, and instead of what we actually have in front of us, this wizardry, this black magic. It comes dressed in shiny, clothes and contour makeup and with a mainstream narrative that sounds beautiful.